Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about something subtle yet incredibly powerful, behaviors that quietly erode the respect, influence, and authority you carry in the eyes of others. These are not loud mistakes or obvious missteps. These are often unnoticed actions or habits that, over time, lower your status without you even realizing it. The challenge is that most people don't notice when they're doing these things, but others definitely notice. Your presence, your confidence, your influence, these are like fragile treasures. And just as a strong foundation is critical for a building, small habits and behaviors are critical to maintaining your personal and professional stature. One of the most subtle, yet destructive behaviors that instantly lowers your status is apologizing simply for existing. This is not about apologizing when you genuinely make a mistake, hurt someone, or break a rule. No, this is the type of apology that slips out automatically, almost unconsciously, because you feel you might be too much, or because you want to avoid making someone else uncomfortable. It could be as simple as saying, "I'm sorry for taking up so much space," or "I'm sorry if I bothered you." Think about it for a moment. Every time you shrink yourself, every time you apologize unnecessarily, you are sending a message both to yourself and to others that your presence, your ideas, your energy, and even your very existence are negotiable. You are telling the world that your value is secondary to the comfort of those around you. And over time, this repeated behavior quietly chips away at the respect people have for you. The danger is that you often don't even notice you're doing it. Maybe it comes from childhood where you learned that staying small kept you safe. Maybe it's cultural, or perhaps it's simply a habit you've adopted to avoid conflict. But the truth is, high-status individuals don't apologize for being themselves. They apologize for actions, not for their presence. Here's the hard truth: when you apologize for existing, you are not being humble, you are devaluing yourself. Humility is powerful, but humility never means disappearing. Standing tall, speaking your truth, and existing unapologetically takes courage, and courage builds influence. People are naturally drawn to those who carry themselves with quiet confidence, those who are unafraid to take up space in a room, in a conversation, in life. So how do you stop this behavior? Start by paying attention to your words. Notice the automatic apologies that slip out. Ask yourself, am I apologizing for something I actually did wrong, or am I apologizing because I feel uncomfortable in my own skin? Practice replacing unnecessary apologies with statements of confidence. Instead of saying, "I'm sorry for being late," try saying, "Thank you for waiting for me." Instead of, "I'm sorry if this sounds weird," try, "Here's what I think." This simple shift is transformational. It reprograms your mind to honor your own existence while maintaining respect for others. Over time, people will begin to recognize your presence as valuable. Your status rises not because you demand respect. It rises because you stop giving it away unnecessarily. Remember, you were not born to shrink. You were born to occupy your space fully, unapologetically, and authentically. When you stop apologizing for existing, you send a message: I am here, I belong, and my voice matters. And that, my friends, is the very foundation of high status. Another behavior that quietly lowers your status is the tendency to overexplain or justify your decisions. This is the habit of feeling that every choice you make, every action you take, or every opinion you hold must be defended in detail. You've probably caught yourself saying things like, "I chose this because," or "I only did that because," even when no one asked for an explanation. Here's the subtle danger. Overexplaining communicates doubt. When you justify yourself excessively, you signal to others, even unconsciously, that you are not confident in your own judgment. You are inviting them to question your decisions, your reasoning, and ultimately your competence. And in human interactions, confidence is currency. Every time you dilute it with excessive justification, your influence and authority quietly erode. The truth is that your choices do not need to be endlessly validated. High-status individuals understand the power of decisive action and the value of letting their intentions and results speak for themselves. They act with conviction, and they trust that those around them will respect thoughtful decisions without requiring a play-by-play of reasoning. Think about this. Do you feel the need to explain every detail because you fear judgment, rejection, or criticism? That fear is natural, but is also self-limiting. Over-explaining can be a form of people-pleasing, an attempt to control perception by overloading others with information. But paradoxically, it often lowers your perceived authority because it communicates that you are unsure, insecure, or reliant on external validation. The solution is to practice brevity and intentionality in your explanations. Ask yourself, does this really need a justification, or will my actions speak for themselves? When you feel the urge to over-explain, pause, take a breath, and remember that clarity and confidence require fewer words, not more. Here's a practical exercise. When someone asks you a question about your choice, answer in one concise, confident sentence. Then stop. Resist the urge to fill the silence with additional details. Silence in these moments is powerful. It communicates control, thoughtfulness, and authority. Over time, this simple practice will shift how people perceive you, not as someone seeking approval, but as someone who knows their value, trusts their own judgment, and commands respect naturally. Over-explaining may seem harmless, but in reality, it chips away at your influence bit by bit. Stop justifying your every move. Stand in your decisions, speak with confidence, and allow your choices to carry the weight of your credibility. Remember, status is not built by defending yourself. It is built by embodying certainty, intentionality, and self-trust. One of the most common behaviors that quietly lowers your status is complaining without ever offering solutions. We all encounter challenges, setbacks, and frustrations in life. It's human to feel upset or disappointed. But when complaints are constant, repetitive, or unaccompanied by action, they communicate something deeper: helplessness, passivity, and a lack of control. Think about it. When you constantly verbalize what's wrong, this never works. They don't understand me. Life is unfair. People begin to perceive you not as a problem solver, but as someone who wallows in difficulty. Complaining without purpose drains the energy of those around you and signals that you are reactive rather than proactive. Over time, this erodes your credibility and influence. High-status individuals understand the subtle power of framing. They acknowledge challenges, but they pair those acknowledgments with insight, perspective, or action. Complaints are never empty. They are strategic, intentional, and solution-oriented. Instead of simply pointing out a problem, they ask themselves, what can I do about this? What perspective can I shift? How can I take ownership? Here's the crucial point. Complaining without solutions diminishes not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. Every time you focus on what's wrong without moving toward what can be done, you reinforce a mindset of limitation. You are telling your own mind and everyone observing that you feel stuck, powerless, or incapable of influencing your circumstances. To counteract this, Practice reframing every complaint into either action or reflection. For example, instead of saying, "I hate my workload," try, "This workload is challenging, but here's how I'm going to manage it." Instead of venting endlessly about a difficult relationship, focus on how you can communicate better or protect your energy. This small shift moves you from victimhood to agency, and it immediately elevates how others perceive you. Remember, influence and respect come to those who take responsibility for their experiences, not to those who simply recount them. Complaining without solutions is like shouting in a room without offering direction. It creates noise, not impact. Stop investing your energy in empty complaints. Instead, invest in clarity, intention, and actionable insight. Your status rises when you are seen as someone who navigates life with resilience, thoughtfulness, and purpose. A behavior that quietly lowers your status, yet so many of us do it, is constantly seeking validation from others. This is the habit of looking to external approval to feel worthy, to feel right, or to feel confident. It shows up in statements like, "Do you think I handled that okay?" Or, "Am I doing this the right way?" Or even in subtle ways, like posting things online just to hear, "You're amazing." Here's the truth: high status individuals do not base their value on other people's opinions. They understand that self-worth is internal and confidence is cultivated within. When you constantly seek reassurance, you send a signal, both consciously and unconsciously, that your own judgment is insufficient. Others sense this insecurity, and it diminishes the respect they naturally afford you. Seeking validation can also create a cycle of dependency. You begin to measure every decision, every achievement, and every thought against the approval of others. Your energy becomes invested in pleasing, in being liked, or in avoiding judgment. In this state, your authenticity is compromised because you are no longer living or acting according to your own values. You are living according to what others think you should be. And authenticity is the foundation of influence. So how do you break this habit? Start by noticing when you feel the urge to ask for reassurance. Ask yourself, am I looking for validation because I genuinely need input or because I want someone else to tell me I'm enough? Shift the focus from seeking approval to seeking clarity. Trust your instincts, your judgment, and your experience. Make decisions, share your ideas, and take action without needing a nod from everyone around you. Another key practice is self-affirmation. Remind yourself daily of your worth, your abilities, and your vision. Internal validation builds a quiet, unshakable confidence that radiates outward. When you trust yourself first, others naturally trust and respect you more. They sense that you are centered, grounded, and unwavering. Remember, people are drawn to those who carry their own weight, not those who constantly seek to borrow it from others. Every time you stop looking for approval, every time you trust yourself without apology, your status rises. You become the person who influences, who leads, and who inspires, not because you demand it, but because it naturally emanates from your self-assured presence. One of the most overlooked behaviors that lowers your status is interrupting or speaking over others. At first glance, some may believe that talking louder or cutting someone off is a sign of dominance or assertiveness, but in reality, it often signals impatience, insecurity, or a lack of respect. High-status individuals understand that influence is not about who can speak the loudest. It's about who commands attention and respect without demanding it. Interrupting communicates, even unintentionally, that what you have to say is more important than what the other person is sharing. It subtly tells them, your thoughts don't matter as much as mine. And while you may not intend it, others perceive it immediately. Over time, this erodes relationships and diminishes your credibility. People naturally respect those who listen before they speak, who allow space for others' ideas, and who respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Listening is, in fact, a superpower. It signals patience, emotional intelligence, and confidence. When you truly listen, you gather information, understand perspective, and position yourself to respond with insight rather than reflex. Interrupting, on the other hand, signals urgency and impatience, and it creates an imbalance in social dynamics that often reduces your perceived authority. Here's the challenge in today's fast-paced world. It's tempting to jump in with your opinion, especially when you feel strongly or have expertise. But high-status individuals resist this temptation. They pause, they reflect, they let silence work in their favor. Silence, when used intentionally, is powerful. It draws attention, commands respect, and signals control. To change this habit, start by consciously counting to 3 before responding in conversation. Let others finish their thought completely before you speak. Practice active listening. Repeat back the essence of what the other person said to show understanding before sharing your own perspective. This simple adjustment elevates how others perceive you, giving your words more weight when you do speak. Remember, status is not about filling the air with noise. Status is earned by presence, patience, and purpose. By listening more and interrupting less, you demonstrate control, thoughtfulness, and respect, qualities that naturally raise your influence and leave others wanting to hear what you have to say. Vulnerability is powerful. It builds trust, deepens relationships, and creates connection. But timing is everything. One behavior that quietly lowers your status is oversharing personal information too soon, revealing details about your life, struggles, or emotions before the context or trust has been established. When done impulsively, oversharing can create discomfort, shift the balance of authority, and unintentionally reduce the respect others have for you. Think about it. Every relationship, whether professional, social, or even casual, has an invisible rhythm, a flow that governs how trust and intimacy are built. When you reveal too much too early, you disrupt that flow. People may feel burdened by information they aren't ready to handle, or they may unconsciously assume a position of power over you because they now know too much. High-status individuals reveal themselves with intentionality. They share strategically, gradually, and thoughtfully. Oversharing also signals insecurity. It can appear as if you are seeking validation, sympathy, or approval through the disclosure of your personal struggles. While honesty is admirable when it comes too soon, it communicates a lack of discernment and control. People respect those who manage their narrative. They respect those who are measured, intentional, and deliberate in how much of themselves they reveal. The solution is not to build walls or to avoid vulnerability altogether. Vulnerability is strength, but it must be exercised wisely. Share your story selectively, choosing the right moments, the right people, and the right depth. Allow curiosity and intrigue to build. Let your authenticity unfold over time rather than spilling it all at once. Here's a practical approach. Before sharing personal details, pause and ask yourself, is this necessary right now? Does this information enhance the conversation or the relationship? Or am I sharing to seek reassurance or attention? By asking these questions, you shift from reactive oversharing to strategic self-disclosure. Remember, status is rooted in presence, self-control, and the ability to command respect. When you reveal yourself gradually, thoughtfully, and intentionally, you cultivate intrigue and authority. People are naturally drawn to those who are authentic but measured, open yet grounded. Oversharing may seem harmless, but when done carelessly, it chips away at your influence. Guard your story, share with intention, and watch your status rise naturally. One behavior that subtly erodes your status is indecision, the inability or hesitation to make clear choices. At first glance, being thoughtful and careful can seem like a strength, but when hesitation becomes a habit, it communicates doubt, insecurity, and a lack of leadership. People are naturally drawn to individuals who act with confidence, even in uncertainty. Indecisiveness, on the other hand, signals that you cannot be relied upon to take responsibility or lead effectively. Every decision you make, big or small, sends a message to the people around you. When you constantly waver, second guess yourself, or seek endless opinions before acting, you unintentionally signal weakness. Others begin to question your judgment and your ability to navigate challenges. This diminishes influence in both personal and professional spheres. Status is not about perfection, it's about decisiveness, courage, and accountability. Indecision also drains your own energy. The mental weight of overthinking and constant uncertainty keeps you stuck in a loop of self-doubt. When you delay action, opportunities pass by, relationships stagnate, and progress halts. High-status individuals understand that mistakes are part of growth, but remaining stagnant because of fear is a choice to lower your own value in the eyes of the world. The key to overcoming indecision is clarity of purpose and trust in yourself. Ask, what is my goal? What aligns with my values? What is the best course of action given what I know now? Make your choice with intention and accept that outcomes may vary. Mistakes are not failures, they are lessons, and how you respond is what truly demonstrates strength. Practice making small, deliberate decisions daily to build confidence. Commit to acting when the moment requires it, even if all variables aren't perfectly aligned. The act of deciding rather than hesitating communicates self-assurance, reliability, and leadership. Remember, high-status individuals are not those who never make mistakes. They are those who make decisions, own them fully, and move forward with resolve. Indecision lowers your influence quietly, but consistently, decisiveness builds respect, authority, and trust in ways that words alone cannot achieve. Stand firm, act with intention, and let your decisions speak louder than hesitation ever could. Your body speaks before your mouth ever does. One behavior that quietly lowers your status is neglecting the power of nonverbal communication, allowing your posture, gestures, facial expressions, or tone to betray your confidence. Slouching, avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, speaking softly, or displaying nervous habits can unintentionally signal uncertainty, insecurity, or lack of authority. Even if your words are strong, your body can undermine them. High-status individuals understand that presence is as much about what you convey physically as it is about what you say. When you walk into a room, enter a conversation, or give a presentation, your body sends messages that others read instinctively. People notice the subtle cues, whether you stand grounded or sway, whether you meet their gaze or glance away, whether your movements are deliberate or restless. Every gesture communicates either confidence or doubt, competence or hesitation, authority or vulnerability. Poor body language often comes from self-doubt or distraction. You may not even realize you're doing it. Perhaps crossing your arms in discomfort, fidgeting with your hands, or avoiding eye contact in conversation. Yet these small actions shape how people perceive your presence and influence. Even brilliant ideas can lose impact if your body language communicates hesitation or insecurity. To cultivate a high status presence, start with awareness. Notice how you carry yourself. Are your shoulders back and relaxed? Are your feet planted firmly? Is your gaze steady and engaged? Align your words with your body. Speak with intention, pause when needed, and let your posture project confidence. Even in moments of uncertainty, a grounded, measured physical presence can communicate control, calm, and authority. Another key point: silence and stillness are also powerful nonverbal tools. High status individuals understand that pausing, leaning in slightly, or holding eye contact conveys thoughtfulness and influence far more effectively than rushing to fill every moment with words. Presence is cultivated, not demanded, and body language is the vessel that carries it. Remember, status is not just about what you say, it's about how you exist in space, how you carry yourself, and how others feel in your presence. Align your body with your confidence and watch how it amplifies your words, your authority, and your influence. Let your presence speak volumes before a single word is uttered. One of the most underestimated behaviors that lowers your status is letting your emotions dictate your reactions. High status individuals understand that emotional mastery is essential to influence and respect. When you react impulsively, through anger, frustration, or defensiveness, you immediately signal a lack of control. People notice, even if they don't say anything. Reacting emotionally often comes from feeling threatened, unheard, or judged. Yet, when you respond in this way, your words and actions are less persuasive and more reactive. Your credibility diminishes, and your authority is questioned. In contrast, those who pause, breathe, and respond thoughtfully command attention and respect. To master this, start by noticing your triggers. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Does this reaction serve me or diminish my influence? By responding intentionally instead of reacting impulsively, you maintain composure and project strength. People respect those who lead with clarity, not chaos. Remember, status is built quietly in the way you control yourself in moments when emotions run high. Emotional discipline doesn't make you cold, it makes you powerful. When your presence is calm, measured, and intentional, even intense situations become opportunities to elevate your influence rather than diminish it. Status is not about arrogance, dominance, or being louder than everyone else. Status is about presence, confidence, and intentionality. Every small behavior, whether it's apologizing unnecessarily, over-explaining, seeking validation, or letting emotions control you, has the power to quietly erode the respect others have for you. By becoming aware of these 8+1 bonus behaviors and actively shifting your habits, you reclaim your authority, strengthen your influence, and elevate your personal and professional life. Stand tall, speak intentionally, listen deeply, act decisively, and carry yourself with quiet confidence. Influence and respect are not demanded, they are earned silently through your actions, your presence, and the way you show up every single day. Remember, your status is a reflection of how you honor yourself. Protect it, cultivate it, and live unapologetically in your power.